Hey, this is John.
And Jess.
And we are the Relationship Revivalist, and today we're going to talk to you about something I think is really a topic that, wow, I think it needs to be talked about, and not only talked about, but it needs to be adhered to.
Yeah, and it's a topic that I think a lot of people get kind of squeamish about, even. Like, oh, it sounds so good, I wish I could do that, but I'm a little nervous to have that conversation. But it's so important, and also it's a topic where it's so easy to feel like, oh, I'm being too harsh with this person. Oh, what are they going to think of me? Oh, they're not going to think I'm very nice. But it's so necessary, and when you do it, and you keep it up, it really makes life so much easier and more simple.
So much easier and simpler.
And you're probably wondering, what is this? I need to know, right?
Yeah.
And it's also something that we've learned from coaching calls and talking to people, that it's not something that people just are born knowing most of the time.
Right.
Right. And the topic today is boundaries.
Boundaries. You essentially can't really live a successful life without boundaries. Kids crave them, adults need them. You really have to be,
And I think, John, I think a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with boundaries.
Yeah.
Because when you said kids crave them, yes, they absolutely do, but they're going to be the first ones to say, I don't like that. You're mean. You're being mean right now.
Exactly.
You know, it's not fair. And as adults, we kind of tend to cover that up a little bit with a little bit more finesse, but we still kind of say the same thing when boundaries are imposed upon us.
And I've even heard people say, oh, you and your boundaries, why would you ever do boundaries? That's silly, that's crazy talk.
And, but you could ask them, why wouldn't you?
Right, exactly. So, we had a little bit of a story, I believe, about this. It was on one of our coaching calls, and actually, you want to start it out?
Okay, sure.
I'm kind of foggy on the beginning of it.
Okay. Yeah, well, we were talking with someone, and she was sharing with how... And I don't want to be, too specific or anything, so please bear with me. It might sound a little bit vague, but think about in your own life, when I'm telling the story, does this sound like anything or anyone that you have come in contact with? And maybe a personal story that you've also known. But she had a family member ask her for something, and she felt it made her feel weird. Yeah. Because she didn't really have it to give from the first place. But also she felt like it felt weird that this person would be asking me for this. And it felt to her like somebody had crossed over her boundary. Yeah. It didn't feel right. And that's really a key to boundaries. If somebody does something and it was, it was an innocent thing. It wasn't like a bad thing. Right. But it was an innocent thing. But it was like, well, you should have known better, right? You just should have known better and didn't do that. Yeah. And when somebody crosses your boundary that you've put in place, and maybe they don't know that they've crossed that yet, that's when it gets to feel weird, because then it's like, now the ball's in my court. Now I have to do something about it. There are some choices right there. She could have just let it go. She could have helped. She could have done. She could have helped. She could have done what they asked, and cried to herself, and just sucked it up, and then felt like a doormat. And then when they asked again, kept it up. Yeah. Right, because if you didn't
set a standard.
Exactly, and it's so much easier to set the standard the first time.
And that's a lot like the courts. You have to set a standard for anything else to be something that they would consider.
Right. Or another option is she could set the standard right to begin with. She could have simply said, no, I'm not able to do that. But why does she have to admit that she's not able to? Yeah. Maybe she could, but she doesn't want to. Right. And maybe she could, she doesn't want to, but also it makes her feel weird that they would ask in the first place. Now that's the thing that she needs to address right there,
Yeah.
because she felt weird about it.
Yeah.
So, and that's really a main thing in a boundary. With boundaries, if something makes you feel weird, somebody's probably crossed a line.
Yeah.
So that's a really good kind of a gauge, right? If you feel
Really
fine
good
to
gauge.
give what they ask and you want to, fine.
Yeah.
It's not crossing your boundary. But when it starts to feel weird, then you need to let them know. I have a boundary here.
Yeah.
You're not to cross that. And there are different ways to say, depending on what it is, different nuances and variances of I'm looking for a word. I'm thinking putting someone in their place, but I think there's a better word for that.
Different.
To confront.
Yeah,
That was the
different
word.
ways to draw the line in the sand and say, hey, this is where we stop doing
Exactly.
this activity.
Right.
So if you're trying to make sure that your boundaries are solid, you first have to step up and say, hey, this is where I'm drawing the line because this is who I am. And if you don't do that, you're really giving power over to the person who is asking. You really have to keep your power with you, because that's a big no-no. If in the world of boundaries, you have to keep your power, and you have to know that you can't give it away.
That's so good. It's so true. And I think we're going to end today's video, but we're going to continue the conversation tomorrow. And we're going to talk about, what do you do when it feels weird to confront that, right? Because
Yeah.
boundaries, sometimes you have to confront people to let them know your boundary. But we're going to save that for tomorrow. And we thank you for watching today.
Yep. And just to finish up real quick, if you haven't done so already, remember to download our free PDF. You can go to therelationshiprevivalist.com/7 secrets and download the PDF. I will put that in the description, so it's easy to click on and go ahead and download it. That's it for today. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
See you later.